You're not gonna make it. No, you ain't gonna make it. You're not gonna make it, but you can. Welcome to You're Not Gonna Make It, the show where I discuss threats that may prevent you from making it. I'm Kevin. As some of you know, because I rarely mention it, I lost 100 pounds. But before that happened, I actually became at peace with being the fat guy for a period of time. It was in high school, and I figured, well, walking doesn't work. I guess I'll just stay fat. I'll just be the fat guy, the jolly, funny, I'll be like Jack Black, basically. Everyone loves him. And I kind of took on that identity for a bit. And by the way, this episode is about the identity crisis and weight loss and other stuff. But I took on the identity for a bit until I had a friend tell me, hey, by the way, I lost 90 pounds. And I'm like, what the fuck? Wait a second. You're not rich. You're not a model. It's not your job to be fit. How the fuck did you, a normal ass guy, I didn't say this to him in those words, but I'm saying, like, how the fuck is a normal guy like you able to lose all this weight? You're saying it's possible for just people. Wow. That changes everything. Because now that I know it's possible, I also know that if it doesn't get done, it's on me. So fuck this fat guy identity. My identity is now the guy who's losing weight. I mean, I didn't make that my whole personality. What I'm saying is I shifted from, hey, I'm just going to stay fat and be fat, to, all right, I'm in transition to a different type of body right now. But the thing is, this isn't so easy for a lot of people. There are actually people out there who they're a bit scared or nervous to lose weight because they've been this way all their life. Yeah, I'm the fat guy. I'm the thick boy. I'm the chunky guy. They call me big guy at the gym, even though I don't really go to the gym. There's a sense that some people may have about losing themselves if they lose the weight. Now, I can't relate to that specifically, but I can relate to kind of the identity issues, which I'll get into later. But let's be real, when you're losing weight, there's a lot of stuff going on physically, but probably more stuff going on mentally. You're changing as a person. It's almost like going through puberty. The way that your brain works and your body's changing, it's just all this stuff is in flux, except you're causing it, or rather you can choose to cause it. It's like a purposeful second puberty if you're losing weight after, puberty. I mean, let's say you work in tech, you're in IT or something, right? You're the fat guy with the beard. They call you IT Santa. They call you the wizard. There was actually a guy at a place I used to work at that they call the wizard. But that might be part of your identity. That's like, yeah, I got the beard, I got the belly. That's me. I got the knowledge too. It all comes together. So you may think, hey, if I lost the weight, I'd just be like a weird Gandalf or something. So maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you're comfortable being the way you are, even not even counting all the extra work it would take to lose weight, but just you would be like a different person. Is that such a bad thing though? For some men, I would assume if you're very overweight, you lost some weight, you might feel like, oh man, my girlfriend or my wife, they might feel less secure around me or something because I'm less, I'm less big, and maybe I was fat before, but yeah, people would think I can protect her and stuff. I think I can protect her that way. Maybe even for your kids, you think, oh, they love their big daddy, their big papa. If I became smaller, maybe their love will become smaller. I don't fucking know. There are tons of weird things that human minds come up with just to not change or because they're scared. Hell, I often don't, shave my chest and back because I like the kind of caveman identity that I have rather than being like a guy who is a swimmer or a twink or something. Like, I wouldn't want to shift to that. Also, the work in shaving and waxing, that's absurd, especially with the amount that I have. Like, I'm not doing that shit. But, what I'm saying is, I like the identity. Being the bald caveman guy, whatever. And if it weren't function-based, as in I don't want to, deal with the extra maintenance of my hair, whether it's on my head or my body, if it didn't come with, functional repercussions, yeah, I'm open to changing a bunch of stuff about myself. If it helps me out or if it feels better or whatever. But for some others, it's hard. And a lot of it is, as well, social, like I was alluding to before. There's a friend group you have. They always go out to eat at McDonald's every week. If you're on the path to losing weight, maybe you'll join them, but maybe you'll choose something else and they'll be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Or maybe you just won't go. And the whole group isn't going to change just for you. You'll just be left out, or you'll be the weird one just sitting there. You either have to deal with that or you have to make some changes. You might have to think, hey, if my friend group just likes eating dog shit and, not supporting me, then I don't know. Am I going to have to make some new friends? It's going to change my social life quite a bit. I'm going to be the guy with, instead of a bunch of friends, we go eat and stuff, we go have fun every week. I'm going to be that guy who has a different hobby this weekend or whatever. It's going to change some things. Trust me, it really does. When you're the odd one out, people have tons of questions, no matter what it is. Hey, guy, why aren't you smoking crack anymore? What's wrong? if you're not doing something that everyone else was doing and, something you were doing with them for a long time, they're going to have questions. And, that's fair as well. They can be curious. But a lot of times with this identity, they're going to be kind of, if not directly, then indirectly kind of attacking or poking holes in your new identity that you want to take on. You're like, I want to be someone who doesn't eat like fucking dog shit every other day. And be like, why not, bro? It's just once a week. What's your problem? What are you, stupid? Don't be a puss. Eat this heart attack now so we can stay friends. It's just weird. Let me get into some myths. One myth. I'll still be me, just thinner. You know what? That's almost never the case. Now, oftentimes you'll keep, your personality is not going to shift throughout this entire process. It's not going to just completely change like that. But if you were living a certain way that got you a certain, picture of health, and then you make changes to bring you somewhere else, yeah, there are going to be some changes. If there weren't changes, you wouldn't have changed, right? But it's not a massive, massive shift. If you're like a funny guy who likes to read before you lost weight, you're probably going to be the same afterwards. But before you lost weight, if you're, a pretty lazy guy who really loves cheese on everything, when you lose a bunch of weight, you may be a bit different. Maybe you're not so lazy anymore. Maybe you fucking love hummus now. Next myth, losing weight only affects your body. Definitely not true. It's effect, as I mentioned earlier, I feel like, yes, your body goes through a lot of changes, but honestly, I wish there were a way to calculate this, but I really feel that most of the change happens in your mind. I mean, this could be good or bad. If you're like a big, jolly, fat guy and you lose weight as possible, you're more reserved, you're shy now, maybe you're embarrassed about your extra skin or something. Or you were a fat guy who's shy and you lost a bunch of weight and you're like, hey everyone, I'm saying hi. I'm greeting strangers. It depends. But, when you're making this huge change, it's not just going to be physical. It's going to be a lot. Next myth, everyone will support your transformation. As I was alluding to before, I should move this section up more, actually. But as I was saying, not everyone's going to support you. Not necessarily saying that they're going to be against you, but supporting you, that's not always the case. Now, I thank my mother. When I was a teenager, I was about 16, I think, maybe early 17 when I started losing 100 pounds. I was like 244 at 17. I told my mom, hey, could you buy like almond milk instead of full fat milk, please? And this helped a lot because, the full milk, whatever, it's like 120 calories per 8 ounces, whereas almond milk is about 30. It's a 75% reduction. And over time, with the amount of cereal I was eating, that was pretty helpful. So she was supportive in that sense. Other people might not be. With the boys, you guys want to eat somewhere like, hey, let's eat at fucking KFC. You're like, hey, can we eat at like Chipotle instead? Like, no, that's stupid. I hate Mexican cuisine for some reason. I need KFC. And it's like, it's not very supportive. And again, some people just won't accommodate you at all. I know someone who, at their job, they have dietary restrictions, and at work, whenever they, order food in for everyone, they're an afterthought. Like, they don't eat dairy a lot of the time and some meats. And then at work, they buy stuff and like, hey, cheese is okay, right? And they're like, what the fuck? And if they do even remember the restrictions, it's like always, oh yeah, you don't eat that, right? So that means you just want salad and nothing else, right? No dressing, yeah? If you stray a bit from the pack, it becomes more challenging. People don't try that hard to accommodate you. Not saying they should try extra hard to accommodate you. It's your responsibility. But there is a middle ground between bending over backwards for you and then just not giving a shit and fuck you. If you don't fit in, get fucked, deal with it yourself. There's a middle ground there, I think, in terms of support. Next myth, you should just be happy you lost weight. Yeah, no. I tell this to people a lot who want to lose weight, with clients as well. It's listen, you're doing good stuff working on your physicality to change it, reduce your size, all this kind of stuff. But I really strongly recommend that you work on the mental aspect too, because there are people who lose a bunch of weight and then they're like, wow, I'm still depressed because they didn't work on the underlying issues that they have. So instead of being fat and depressed, you just be like depressed or anxious or whatever it is. You need to work on that separately. Yes, losing a bunch of weight will help in certain aspects for certain people. It can help a lot with confidence for sure. But for some people, their confidence might never change. I'm sure you might know someone who's lost, like they're a pretty attractive person, but they lost, I don't know, like 120 pounds. So they just feel like they're shitty. But you're like, how the fuck is this attractive person think so lowly of them, like of themselves? What the fuck is wrong with them? But it's a mental thing. They still have the mindset of like, oh look, I was a fat piece of shit, and I very slowly lost weight, and now I'm just, I don't know, I still feel like a fat piece of shit. That's been my brain for a long time. That's the case for a lot of people. For example, myself, I joke, I say, oh yeah, I'm still fat whenever, I go on a vacation and gain a few pounds on purpose. And I do feel fat, like, oh yeah, I got more extra body fat than I want or whatever. And then other people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're nowhere near fucking fat. Are you shitting me? I mean, part of that is due to, skewed expectations. And in America, the average is like, 30 pounds overweight. So yeah, I I may seem very not fat, but I'm not like a fat person. I do have right now, because of the Japan vacation, I got a little bit extra body fat than I want, but I'm not like an obese person, right? That's not how it is. But mentally, I feel differently than what other people think. Sometimes feel differently than what's in the mirror. That's called body dysmorphia. And if it's a serious case, it's pretty bad. Now, what I'm talking about is barely that, honestly. It's kind of like, I'm being too hard on myself. I got to remember, keep perspective, blah, blah, blah. But other people are like, yeah, I'm a huge piece of shit, and I'm not happy with myself, even though I look like a model. This is really bad for me. That sucks. Holy shit, I've not even gotten to the stats yet. All right, let me get into that. Oh, to go back to that you should just be happy you lost weight. Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. Some people get more depressed after they lose weight for some reason. Those are the worst cases, I think, but it's rare. But yeah, losing weight is not an automatic mood lifter. For some people it is, but not by default. You really got to put in that work mentally, in addition to physically. So now let's get into some numbers. 50% of successful weight loss maintainers, such as myself, report experiencing a complete identity shift from a restrained self to a liberated individual. Half of the people. I mean, I guess physically, when you're really fat, you don't feel like a super liberated person because you're literally weighed down. And, you don't really want to go outside because you're a fat piece of shit. You don't want to have pictures taken of you because you're a fat piece of shit. You don't really want to sit in the bus because you're going to take up a bit more than just one seat because you're a fat piece of shit. So once you lose that weight, you're like, I can sit properly. I'm not taking up extra space. I can just go outside. Nice. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I can see how that works. For half people, sure. The other half, that's unfortunate that they did not experience that shift. But everyone, I think it's unavoidable having an identity shift if you lose enough weight. If you lose 5 pounds, maybe it's probably not going to be a huge deal. If you lose dozens, 30, 50, 100, it's gonna be a lot. Be a lot to deal with your mind. People who lose 10% or more of their body weight show measurable personality changes. One of which is decreased extraversion, which, if I'm getting my prefixes right, that's saying that you are less averse to, being outgoing or being outside or being extroverted. And this ties into what I was saying earlier. Weight loss maintainers are 40% more likely to report losing friendships due to their transformation. Now, it's not, for some people, probably women mostly, not to be sexist, but there's some people friendships end because, oh, some person lost a lot of weight. So fuck them. They think they're better than us. Fuck them. Let's waddle over there. But other times, I would wager to guess is more likely, hey, I'm making gigantic changes. Well, not necessarily gigantic, but very effective changes to my body. And that requires changes in habits, eating, all this kind of stuff. So what they were doing, with the friends, it probably doesn't make sense anymore. It's probably not doable anymore. And then, if friends have nothing in common besides fucking eating, then yeah, I mean, the friendship might fall apart. Sure. 33% of people who lose significant weight report feeling identity confusion during the first year of maintenance. And yeah, it makes sense. I mean, there's even a bit of phantom pain syndrome. Like, oh, wow, I used to take up this space when I did this, but now I don't. I'm take up less. That's really interesting. You're like, wow, I walked up those stairs and I feel totally fine. Well, whereas last year, it kind of sucked. Wow. It's funny I say that. The next stat I'm looking at here is 58% of post-weight loss individuals report phantom fat syndrome, where they still see their old body. I mean, that sounds like a hallucination to me. But what I was saying with the phantom fat thing is like, hey, yeah, I used to take up space or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I remember when I was in elementary school, maybe middle school, my arm was so fat, I would put it, I would reach upward and then tilt, bend my wrist. So I would kind of hide my hand behind my forearm from my perspective, right? I would just make my hand real small, put it up, and I looked like I was armless, right? And that was easy because my forearm was so fat, it would cover it if I actually did that bend of the wrist and hid my hand. But now I can't do that. I see my hand when I do that. It doesn't work. And it's kind of weird. And I only realized this a couple of years ago. I'm like, yeah, let me do that little armless trick. I'm like, oh shit, wait a second. I can't do that. My body is not the same. That's really delayed phantom fat. This one's interesting. The 52% report that others treat them so differently that they question their original identity. I don't know what questioning the original identity means, but yeah, people do treat you differently when you lose a lot of weight. I guess I understand that they the weight losers, that's like what I call them right now. They think, wow, wait a second. So the person who I was when I was fat, did no one like them? Like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah, that crops up sometimes. You learn as a society, we don't really like fat. And the majority of people are fat, but we don't really like fat people. Let's be real. So when you lose weight, people treat you not necessarily better or much differently. It's that they treat you with less contempt. Speaking as an American here. It's like instead of, seeing you sitting on the train or bus and just walking past that empty seat, they'll be like, oh yeah, maybe I'll sit next to this person. Sure, there's enough room for me. They're not gross, whatever. Just little stuff like that. You're like, huh, this didn't happen before. I guess everyone hated my previous self, maybe. Obviously, that's not the case. You likely have friends and family who liked you before and they like you now. Or they will like you once you lose the weight as well. But yeah, it's interesting to notice those changes in how people treat you. So how can you kind of prepare for this identity crisis? Well, like I said, mostly it is mentally preparing. While you're making these physical changes, you have to make mental changes too. You can do this in a few ways. You can start like having a diary, a journal or something, saying the little changes you're noticing over time, so that not only can you look back at this and say, wow, it's cool to see the change, but you can also be aware of it every single day, every other day, every week, whatever. You can say, okay, I've noticed this small change. I've noticed this small change, blah, blah, blah. And then by the time you get to your goal weight or whatever, you will not be massively surprised and have this weird shift of like, oh shit, people are treating me differently. Things are different, whatever. I'm aware of it because I was notating this for a while. Therapy is an option too, I suppose. Another thing you could do is just kind of prepare for this kind of thing. Part of your identity includes your relationships and finding a way to kind of break it to your friends that, hey, I won't be going to Burger King 4 times a week anymore is that's going to be a shift. So just prepare to break that information to them. You can also make new friends, different friends. Not saying abandon everyone because they're fat losers or whatever, right? But if they're going to tear you down and not support you and you truly want to make this change, you have to just wonder, are these people going to be beneficial to your life? Is the relationship worth holding on to? Are they open to having some kind of, compromise with the way you guys hang out, whatever it is? Do they care? Do they give a shit about you or your health or what you're trying to do? If not, you may have to make some changes there. And I'm recommending that you just be ready for this kind of shift in your social circle. Have I lost any friends due to weight loss? I don't think there's anyone who I'm not in contact with anymore because of the weight loss stuff. No, it's just general, oh yeah, we were friends in high school or college or whatever, but we didn't keep in touch too much and then blah, blah, blah like that. But I don't remember having a friend who I'm like, oh yeah, we only meet at Popeyes. So now that I don't eat there anymore, we don't meet up anymore. I don't think that's happened to me, thankfully. I'm grateful. A lot of my friends are like, hey man, it's fucking awesome, what you've been doing, what you did, all that stuff. So I appreciate that. Most of them are supportive. Maybe there's a couple of people who I totally forgot about because they just suck so much ass in regards to the weight loss, but I don't think so. I cannot recall. But anyway, yeah, I also recommend taking a bunch of pictures of yourself because along with the journaling or the diary stuff, that's a visual representation of the small changes over time. Because I'll tell you right now, if you lose a bunch of weight, you lose 100 pounds and you check a picture of how you were before, you're like, who the fuck is that? It doesn't even have to be 100 pounds. It could be 20, 30, 10, whatever. You check back and you're like, wow, I haven't kind of kept track of this in the meantime. So this shift is really massive. Like I used to be really massive and now I'm different. It's like, who am I now? Am I that guy but thinner? Am I different? Like there's a bunch of stuff going on, honestly. But the great thing about life is that you can define whoever you want to become. So make preparations. And when you're doing this weight loss stuff, make sure that the changes that you're making are sustainable. They work for you, because what you don't want to do is make a massive shift in terms of weight loss. But you in that process, you're also becoming a person that you don't care to be. Like you want to lose weight. Oh, I'm going to do group fitness 6 times a week. And that's my identity now. Like that's going to suck ass for you if you don't like that. Right. So make sure those shifts that you're making align with your personality and your identity, or the identity that you actually legitimately want to assume. And, along with the relationships I mentioned before, even the relationships of people around you, people will treat you a bit differently. Just get ready for that as well. Get ready for comments about, oh, look, you look so different now, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's telling you, hey, you're a different person now. You're not fucking fat anymore. Wow. That could mess up your brain. Someone telling you, hey, you are a different human. I don't remember you. Who are you? Who's this new person? It could fuck you up a bit. So just remember, keep all this in mind. Prepare for log stuff. Just be aware of what's happening over time slowly. And just be aware that there will be changes that happen outside of your control. So worry about what you can control as best you can. And if you don't, you're not going to make it. Let me know, have you ever lost a bunch of weight and don't even recognize yourself in the mirror? Or do you plan to lose weight and you're worried about what'll happen to you and your friends and family? Or even worse, are you scared to lose weight and you haven't because you're kind of like, I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to become a different person. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious how common this is for people to just not do something that's great for them because they'll lose themselves. I assume it happens for sure, but I don't know how common it is. So let me know. Anyway, I'll see you next time.